is minutes from the January 17th meeting.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
No audience. Looks like we did have one report-only injury at Miami substation. I was curious, what's the weight of that thing? Okay, and there were two people lifting it up?
It's over 100 pounds.
Okay. Next, we get into reports. Doug, morning.
Morning.
I do have an action item for you today. As part of our budget this year, we have updating our arc flash hazard study. But before that, we'd like to establish an engineer of record. So we request statements of qualifications for engineering services on current and future projects. We've had to hire engineering firms to update relay settings, to provide arc hazard analysis for industrial customers. So it's nice to have those access to those professional engineers for services like that. So my recommendation now is for a motion to request statements of qualifications for professional engineering services.
What would be the length that, are we signed up for a length
It'd
of
just be
term?
ongoing unless one party or the other would cancel it. So it'd go into a contract with an engineering firm.
And we've had some of these in the past. On the electrical side, we had LD&B. I think on the water, wastewater side, SKW. And I think we, some of those services declined. And so we kind of started going out for requests for qualifications on individual projects. But I think we're to the point now we want to go ahead and just secure an engineer record, and then we'll have that resource, and we won't have to go through the RFQs every time we do a project.
So that there's no retainer, we're not?
No.
Okay.
You guys do any 70E training?
Our electricians have.
Didn't know if the linemen, if there's any need to do that or not.
I don't think they have. They may benefit from it. So
Yeah.
I know our electricians have done some of that.
I make a motion to request statements of qualification for professional engineering service.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to request statements of qualifications for professional engineering services. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, gentlemen. I don't have any other updates unless you have any questions for me.
Anything for Doug? Thank you. Megan, good morning.
Morning.
Do have one action item for you this morning. We are recommending that the board continue Emily Hall's leave of absence, which began in December. Continue that until May 5th with continuation of health insurance premiums if it's needed. And be happy to answer questions about that, but if there's any details, sensitive details beyond what we've provided, we would need to go into closed session for that.
Want to go into executive session?
It's a long way out. We're gonna need some extra help
Okay.
to satisfy the position until she comes back.
We can do that. Yeah. Okay. Can we, yeah, we'll have an executive session to discuss.
Okay.
Okay.
And I don't have anything else to add to what's in your report.
You do that salary survey annually,
Yes.
just using other utilities?
It is, the survey, the overall review and study uses several sources, external surveys, local market data, and an internal survey that we perform ourselves. That survey that we perform ourselves is focused on, other utilities, mainly municipalities, but some, co-op and things like that that we compete with for labor.
yesterday afternoon. Did confirm for sure their crews are planning to be here on February 10th. The rotor is supposed to ship on February 14th. We've contacted the crane company and they're set up and ready to go. And that's gonna hopefully move forward. We also ran 10 and 11 for 4 hours Tuesday evening from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. and that all went well. They ran good. So that's all I got unless you got any questions.
Did we get called on a lot during that cold spell?
No.
I didn't think so.
Nope.
Did we have any outages?
No.
Oh, great, good job. Thank you. Anything more, Jared? No, thank you. Move on. Grant, good morning.
Morning, gentlemen. Just one update that's not in your packet. I do have a kickoff meeting with Burns and Mac tomorrow morning on the master plan. I'm going to go over scope of work and get that ball rolling. Other than that, that's all I have.
Are you getting some materials ordered, that money we have allocated?
We have a lot ordered and a lot in. Got several bundles of pipe at Jared's lot. We did purchase some tarps to tarp it. Get mixed signals from vendors on whether sunlight bothers it or not. So for roughly $2,000 worth of tarps, we're protecting over several $100,000 worth of pipe. So.
Anything more for Grant? Thank you. Jim?
Morning. Blowing machine control box is supposed to be on its way back. They didn't really do much to it. Said they reprogrammed it or something like that. It's only about $500 worth of parts. Labor, no, actually no parts, just labor. So, hopefully we'll have it back soon. We were able to get out and do some boring yesterday, so finally getting some stuff in the ground. Other than that, just kind of twiddling our thumbs, waiting for the weather.
Did you get your new truck?
It's over in Brian's shop. Yep.
Okay.
Waiting
And
on
then, last meeting, there was talk about a capacity upgrade on Bluebird network. Is
Yeah.
that?
The capacity's done. I'm working on retiring, replacing 3 old routers with 2 new ones. Just about done with that. It's all done except just a little bit of tweaking, some streamlining some stuff to, for reliability issues. But yeah, all the upgrade is done. Probably next meeting we may have a recommendation for upping up speeds, so we'll see.
We're gonna have a good test coming up here in just February, a week and a half.
Yeah.
You think we're gonna be okay?
It's funny, football seems to be the driver for our cash.
Anything else for Jim? Thank you, Jim. Eric, good morning.
Morning. Just an update on the UV project. Ray Lindsay's got the floors poured in both channels. They're on site now forming up the walls for those channels. The plan is to pour those tomorrow, and equipment is still set for middle of February to start arriving. And that's all I got, unless you have any questions.
Nothing more for Eric. Thank you. Morning, Travis.
Morning. Morning. Don't really have anything to add other than what's in your packet, but I'll be happy to answer questions if you have any.
That meeting with Concordia, was that just for their benefit, so they could
Yes.
learn?
Yeah, they've been on chloramines for several years, and they haven't done a free chlorine conversion. They just had questions on how we did that and how we did notifications and stuff like that.
All right, thank you, Travis. Tony, good morning.
Morning. You guys will see that I have the first quarter financials in the board packet. Did want to kind of give a brief overview of the reimbursement check and the cashiering process. Won't go into all the details, but kind of how the cashiering process really works is we have what's called a general fund, and all the money that comes into the utilities through bill payments goes into that fund, which is kind of like a clearing account. And so they pay their bill, the bill goes into that account, and then we close it into the business day, we reconcile it, and then that account cuts checks back to electric, water, sewer, internet, and gas every day. And that's how that process has always worked. On the disbursement side, all those bills that we pay are paid out of the electric account. So we'll cut, like the disbursements today, those all get paid out to vendors in the electric account, and then checks will be cut from water, sewer, internet, gas to reimburse electric for those bills. When we converted to the new software, their format is almost like, is what they call pooled cash. So they have what is basically one account. It's all the money's pooled into one account, and all the bill money comes in, and all the disbursements are coming out of that one account. So to kind of keep the same process that we were doing before, we kind of had to do some work around, because we kind of have two pooled caches, if that makes sense. And so in October, I was trying to streamline some stuff for the ladies that do the cashiering, to where we can put everything in a general fund, and then the money would go in the general, those reimbursement checks would go in the general fund, and then when they closed that days of business, the check they would cut back to water, sewer, electric, would have the reimbursement checks to electric plus whatever bills, whatever money came in that day. And I made an error. I just coded something wrong, and so the money was going into the general fund, which is correct. But then when the checks were getting cut back to each department, instead of cutting those reimbursement checks back to electric, they were cutting it back to water, sewer, so the money was going directly back into it. Did get it caught, did get it corrected, everything was accounted for, but that's kind of a broad example of how that happened. I am going to reach out to MPUA and see if other utilities are kind of doing the pooled cash system versus having two different kind of funds. Hindsight, I probably would have changed it back then to make it a little easier, but as we've gotten learning the system, it's working correctly now. It's just there's a lot of additional steps. So how we fix that going forward would require us moving a lot of bank accounts around and making some changes. So I think that's something we probably could look at down the road. Like right now, I'm comfortable with the way it's working. We're seeing a lot more vendors wanting to do ACHs, and that could cause, could maybe be a lot easier for us to streamline if we make that change. So 100% my fault. I went in and made a change on the code, but I didn't change the other side of the code, so then that's why that happened. So if you guys have any questions or want further detail, I can get together with you and kind of give you more detail. But that's what happened there. And another reason it didn't quite get caught is we'd been holding we were waiting for water reimbursement. And so I had a lot of checks I'd been holding, waiting. And then when I put them all in there, that's when it was obvious that something was wrong. So.
And is that why the water revenue is so high?
Correct.
Because of the reimbursement? Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
So yeah, once again, if you guys have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me and I can go into more detail. On the financial side there, the first quarter budget summary, we should be right around the 25%. Obviously, the water is high due to the $3 million that we got back in reimbursement. We're still around $900,000 short. We did get a $279,000 check this week, which leaves us around $650,000 left in reimbursement. Overall, I think we're right where we need to be. I did go back and look, and we're actually outperforming first quarter last year. I think electric was up 15%. Obviously, 7.5% of that is the cost adjustment that we got rid of. Water was up 23% over last year. Sewer was up 9%, and broadband was up 8%. So on the revenue side, I think we're doing really well. Expense side, we're below. I do have a couple of corrections on the budget report I'll get to. The cash reserve summary, I adjusted that to the correction, so that's kind of where our actual cash was, the corrected cash. I think we're doing good there. We still have, obviously, we have some reimbursement for Unit 6 insurance that should hit up sometime in this next quarter, hopefully. And like I said, DNR, we're still short around 900 when I'm at the snapshot of this. So, restricted account, not much change there. You will see that we're putting 5,000 in the economic development fund every quarter, so that reflects there. Not much change other than that. And then on the loan balance summary, we're getting close. I think water department's loan will be paid off basically a year from now, so we're getting those knocked down. If you go over to the budget report summary, everything should be around the 25% mark on the expense side. You will see that on the utilities, under electric, it's showing a 38%. We had a coding error there, so wastewater's utility bill got coded into electric. So if you look down at sewer, at the 520 on sewer, you'll see that we're only 16%. So once we made that change, we're right in line at 25 and 25. The only other thing I would note is water maintenance. You'll see it's at 62.69%. That is basically Travis's well maintenance from last year. We had no expense last year for the well maintenance, and now it just tiny hit in October when we were hoping it would hit in September. So that's why that number is going to be skewed probably the rest of the year. It's just going to look odd because we're going to have 2 well maintenance in 1 year versus split. That was really the only concern I saw, unless you guys have anything specific. I know maintenance down there for sewer is high, is showing at 43. It's a little higher. I think Eric had we had a $24,000 expense there that first quarter for the, I think the dry flow pumps or something was in there. So that's maintenance related. Other than that, if you guys have any questions, concerns, I'll be more than happy to try to get them answered.
I just long for the day that we were positive on our minimum cash reserves.
Me too.
We're working, we're working on that.
Yeah.
I know it's just first quarter, but revenues are up, expenses are down, so
Yeah.
that's a good
Yeah,
year.
I was
That's
glad to see
testament to
that.
everybody, so. So when you're dispersing the reimbursement checks, you just do 1 check a day for,
So
for
the
both the funding and for the reimbursement.
Right, so after disbursements today, we'll cut reimbursement checks back to electric. And the way it will work now is, instead of the ladies up front saying, okay, these checks have to go in this account, these checks have to go in this account, these checks have to go in this account, they'll put everything into the general fund, and then they'll close out that business day, reconcile it, and then they'll cut checks out, 1 check to electric, 1 check to water, 1 check to sewer, 1 check to IT, and 1 check to natural gas. And within that check will be whatever customer payments came in, along with the reimbursement checks, if that makes sense. And it's really just trying to streamline it a little bit better. It can get confusing up there, and then they get all these checks, and they're trying to divvy them out, so.
It's kind of a funky process.
It
Curious
is.
what other, your conversations with NPUA, how those other utilities are doing it too, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I kind of think I know where the conversation's gonna go, but it's still good to check.
If we were to get audited, it wouldn't be a problem.
No, it's never been a problem. It's just, it is kind of confusing for the auditors a little bit. And they've told me that the pooled cash, the way we're doing it makes it kind of funky because really you have 1 pooled cash bank account. And then all the other general ledger accounts for each department have what they call claim on cash, meaning that of all the money in that account, this portion of it's electric, this portion of it's water, this portion of it's sewer, and then that all reconciles together versus having bank accounts and claim on cash, which all departments have. Kind of makes it a little bit more diluted, but like I said, to do that, it's going to require some work as far as, realistically, we would need to have all the operating accounts of 1 bank right now we have them at Wood Houston, Community, and Exchange. If we could get all the operating accounts at one bank, then instead of having to cut all these reimbursement checks, you could just do transfers, which is how,
Have it all in one account and use an Excel spreadsheet.
yeah, well, the system will do it. That's how the system's set up to do.
Yeah.
But I was trying to keep the same process when we converted, you know, because I didn't want to get too, everyone was already kind of a little nervous on changing it. In hindsight, I didn't really know the process really until we got in and started using the system. Then I'm like, it's just, we're making it work, and we've had to do a lot of workarounds, but to truly work the system the way it's supposed to be working, we really need to have one account. We can still have the segregated accounts at other banks, but to have all the operating in one account, which then will require, I think, sign a new bank, you know, it'd be a little process to do that. So maybe after we get through the grants and all that, and we kind of get in a little easier place to make that transition, we'll bring that back to you, look at doing that. Hopefully I didn't confuse you guys even more on that.
Not too much. Anything else, Tony? Thank you, Tony. Jeff, good morning.
Morning, gentlemen. I do have one action item this morning. The broadband conduit installation contracts that the board approved at our last meeting. We did miss including the motion to request the city council authorize the mayor to sign those. So those have been sent over to city offices, and just needing this recommendation to move that forward.
Make the motion to request city council to authorize the mayor to sign the broadband conduit installation contracts from MMU, contracts numbers 2501, 2502, 2503, and 2504.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to request the city council authorize the mayor to sign the broadband conduit installation contracts for MMU. Contract numbers 2501, 2502, 2503, and 2504. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, gentlemen. Just a couple other updates. I've got a meeting with the Elizabeth and JD next week to go over the real estate purchase contract for the Marshall Generation Project. That is getting closer. Hopefully we'll get that wrapped up here in February, I hope. Jared, Grant, and I did meet with USDI on that project. That's who MEC is going to use to do the gas line modifications needed. I think that meeting went pretty well. We've got a section of the gas line that we have to move. USDI is who MEC is using, and that's who we use on our line. So it was kind of nice. Grant was familiar with those people, and I think that's going to go real good. I was impressed with them, and I thought they'd do a good job. But there are a lot of moving parts going on right now on that project. Jared's electric production annual report is in here. Be sure to go through that and grill him as much as you'd like. He's pretty good at taking that stuff. Yeah, and as Tony mentioned, we did get a reimbursement check of $279,000 Monday. That brings our total reimbursement for that DNR grant to $3,284,640, and we have $628,528 remaining. You get to do one submission a month, and so we did our submission for the $279. If we get more water main in, we'll probably kind of wait and see what that delivery is. We'll submit those invoices, and that'll be 100% reimbursement because they're counting our labor as the 10% match. So keeping that moving forward, and we're getting close. It took a while, but we're getting there. So that's all I have, unless you gentlemen have any questions.
Is Zito still around?
Good question.
They're working on a poll agreement. I mean,
Well, I've sent read receipts and delivered receipts.
nothing.
No,
AT&T responded.
nope. It's like pulling teeth. Actually, I'll probably have our internal agreement done between Broadband and IT and Doug before. I mean, just when you involve other people. We'll see. I'll reach back out again. And,
It's been hitting the packet for a while. I'm like, what's going on there?
Yeah, it's and we can cancel the the contracts with 60 days of notice, but I really don't want to go there. I mean, that'll make it more complicated, so I'll have to share that with them again and see if that helps. But it's frustrating.
Maybe just send a letter, see if you get a response.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's just, yeah, it's a head scratcher. It's not high on their radar. They don't want to do it because it's going to cost them more. And, yeah, I have to get a little bit heavier handed.
Thank you. A couple of power bills in here, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I got us caught back up, Chuck, on that.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
She just got the packet done, and I got the email on the last one, so I thought, well, I'm not gonna make her, we'll just include it in the next one.
And then I see, you know, those asset charges like we talked about.
Yeah, if you look at the first one there, I mean, they call it asset, that's basically demand or capacity. And you can see, you know, on this November bill, our capacity was $660,000 and our energy was $309,000. And you can see transmission at 108. Transmission costs are gonna continue to increase. MOPEP is partnering with some other entities to get in the transmission business so we can have some revenue to offset some of these charges, but that's gonna be a long-term process. Yeah, we pay a lot for capacity, and I think that's, you know, that's what this generation project's gonna fill, is that top half. And hopefully, I think Steve said we were a little over 1,000 kW installed price on the 350s, so hopefully we can keep this where it's at, and it'd be nice to see it go down, but I think that would be a pretty far reach. And those heat maps, again, you know, they just show the fluctuation in market prices in a 24-hour period, so.
All right. We got, yeah, Jared's annual department report. So I was curious, when we're gonna, you know, this capacity test in 2023, we didn't complete it because of Unit 6. When do we think we're gonna do that?
I talked to Darren Dunlap at MPUA the other day, and I think they're gonna allow us to get a little bit of runtime on it, and then maybe this summer we'll try and do that.
Okay. So that thing ought to really kind of be at optimal.
Should be.
And I don't know how capacity credits work. I don't know if 29.7 megs versus 30 megs or 31 megs, if that's a big difference in capacity.
It helps.
Payment.
Yeah.
Okay, it does. Okay, so it'd be good if we got that thing tuned up and
Yep.
running at max, so, okay. So sometime this summer, you think?
That's what we're hoping for. They're gonna want us to do it on the hottest time we can,
Yeah.
so.
Take advantage of the market.
But
We
we'd
wanna
like,
run them when market prices are down, so.
we would like to get some runtime on it before that day.
Is mixed paper still up pretty good?
It is, 60 or 65 a ton.
Thanks again for putting that together. Anything for Jared on the board? Thank you.
Looks good.
Let's see, next, cash disbursement. Pretty light load there.
50% of
motion and a second to approve the cash disbursements. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any other business? If not, our next board meeting is Thursday, February the 13th, 2025. Work for everyone?
You gotta bring it down, don't say cookie through,
Okay, all right. Get kids.
if you want one, I guess.
So next, consider a motion to adjourn for 5 minutes and then go into
I
executive
move
session.
we recess for 5 minutes and go into executive session.
Personnel.
For personnel.
Reasons.
Second, Steve Mills, aye.
Ken Brown, aye.
Chuck Heinz, aye.